Welcome to Seen and Heard, and welcome my co-host, Bella. Hello, Bella. She's also part of the team at Seen and Heard, City Scene Productions and Media Company. I am so glad to have my co-host here, Miss Bella.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Tonight, we're going to have a lively conversation about Kanye West and the midterms and more. And to start off, I'm going to play I'm going to play this video of news coming out of the UK earlier today. Let's play this video here.
This academic isn't celebrating Rishi Sunak becoming the UK's first Asian Prime Minister. Writer Dahlia gets why his Asian heritage isn't what matters.
Black and brown people in the UK are not celebrating the first non-white UK Prime Minister in the way that you might expect. Rishi Sunak is many things, but he's not in any way an underdog. Modern capitalism itself is systemically racist, but there was always space within that systemic racism for a select few people of color or racialized minorities to rise to the top. As long as the majority of people of color in the world remain available for exploitation.
Multi-millionaire Sunak's life is far from the average UK citizen. He has more personal wealth than King Charles III and has previously worked for financial giant Goldman Sachs and other hedge funds.
When you look at why he's so wealthy, it's in part precisely because of colonial era tax loopholes, the non-dom status his wife uses to avoid taxes. It's a colonial relic. It allowed plantation owners and colonizers to avoid paying taxes on wealth that they accrued abroad. The offshore tax havens that Sunak holds his wealth in, again, exist because of colonialism.
The former finance minister's wife, who's a billionaire heiress, ended her non-domicile tax arrangement in 2022 after public backlash. The couple have an estimated $824 million fortune, while 14 million people in the UK cannot afford regular meals.
When you look at the cost of living crisis, for example, that's something that's going to disproportionately impact ethnic minority households. Rishi Sunak is telling those households, we can't help you, it's too expensive. Yet at the same time, he and his wife have been using colonial era tax loopholes to deprive the state of tax revenue that could have been used to provide people the kind of cushion that they need.
Sunak came to power after Liz Truss resigned after only 44 days. He's the fourth UK Prime Minister in a row to initially actually come to power without it. While in power over the last 12 years, the Conservative Party has enacted austerity policies, stripped migrants of their rights, and cracked down on democratic rights, like the right to protest.
He has added fuel to the fire of a culture war politics that always ends in racist posturing. He probably sees himself as part of an anti-woke brigade that ultimately targets trans people, people of color, social justice activists. We need to focus less on the identity in identity politics and more on the politics. What we need to do is actually abolish the very concept of a top and the bottom and actually create a more equal and liberated society overall.
This academic.
So the reason I wanted to open with that and the news over there in the UK, because they have similar politics that the United States has, and that new prime minister reminded me of the Latino politicians a few weeks ago that were caught on the hot mic disparaging the Black community, and the Democrats, which adds insult to injury, and their own people. They were disparaging like the immigrants that were coming from Mexico. They were disparaging them, the darkest skin immigrants. So he's kind of like that. He has, even though he's a person of color, he's still not for people of color. And I wanted to use him as an example of like Kanye and Candace Owens. They are people of color, but they are not for people of color. They're extremely anti-Black, which is very dangerous to the Black community.
So,
What do you think, Bella?
it's like okay, just think is like this is it's not just like a thought. Whenever I get a thought, I'm like I am deconstructing. So I'm people that I'm following, like Black women, Indigenous women, Asian, and so I have to be very respectful. There's two different things. Like I don't want to be the white woman, and I also don't want to be the white woman and hammer side with him because I understand those dynamics. So what I am saying, I'm saying knowing. And first off, our family struggles with mental disorders, emotional disorders. It's trauma is like the biggest thing in my life of like why anti-racism, and anti-racism is what has been actually helping me by listening. So I just want to like give thanks there. And anything that I say, it's because I learned. We struggle. And so what I and my children have had to learn is the body is for the crime is the bottom line. So what I do, even if I'm not in the right state of mind, I am responsible for. And that is why personally, and to take care of my kids, to be on medicine, to seek help. We have backup plans in place. Like, it's like, it's a battle. Like every day it's a battle. We had like TRICARE, we had insurance, so there was privilege there. Trying to disrespect Kanye because I empathize with him. But I also know that he's got a lot of money, and I'm sure that I feel like he has really like the knowledge of options, the support of options, like and people trying to tell him get help at the very least, and you know he's on social media. But then again, like if you're not in your right state of mind, you're just not, and that goes. We all have responsibility, but I have also been more empathize with Kanye. Is like I have been, you know, there's like just points in someone's life, like you really are the victim, and he's being.
Well, don't you think it makes a difference having people around you that's a support group? You have a support network. It doesn't seem like he has that. He has opportunists around him that are using his whatever he's going through to their benefit. Just a prime example, Candace Owens. It looked like she used him, trying to use him to buy her husband's failing social media outlet, but this has been going on for years. And a lot of us in the Black community were trying to call him out. But no, of course, we're not big name people. Of course, our voices don't matter, but we still continue to call him out. Because like I have a pinned tweet at the top of my Twitter that I've had up there for years, stating not to support these colorist, disrespectful, you know, rappers and musicians and and athletes and actors and stuff. And I keep it pinned at the top of my Twitter account so nobody can question my, you know, where I stand on it, because I've been trying to call it out for years.
Yeah. And I've been listening to people calling him out and calling other people out, which I'm not gonna. I mean, I boundary with myself of like, wait, it's, you know, to everyone, but I have seen that and I have heard, and I do feel I wouldn't be the speaker on it, but I do feel like understanding that so much more. And so I do get, I get that.
Oh, but like what you're talking about, like what you're struggling with whatever your ailments and all, you have a support group, and don't you think difference if he had a support group?
Oh yeah, because I'm thinking like the Kardashians. How could they even be a support committee?
You know how I feel about that. It's like every man that's ever gotten hooked up with them has ended up off, you know, worse off than when they came into that family, that wretched family. It's like, okay, look at Kanye West, obviously. Look at Bruce Jenner. He went to bed one day and woke up and said that, okay, now I want to be a woman. Then, like, the only one that escaped was the basketball player that only stayed married to her for like 72 days. He got out of there because he probably saw the circus behind the scenes. He was like, nah, I'm not trying to be a part of this. He was a basketball player that she met right before Kanye. No. Oh, what is his name? It was
I don't get a basketball star.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, I'm gonna look him up, but he was. Let's see.
I will say this: Caitlyn Jenner is that she, out of all, and she has received the most shade. Look me in the eye, and those kids wouldn't have been better with her and Chris picture at all, because I binged that show, and I remember went by her dead name, Bruce. The little girls, Kylie and
Chris Humphries.
Anyway, but he was like, no, I don't want them dressing like this. No, I don't want them dancing like this. Like, he was probably, it was cheesy, so it probably was acting or whatever. But I don't know.
It was Chris Humphries. Chris Humphries. He's the one that he got out of there after 72 days. he was just like, yeah, he was like, no, I'm not trying to be a part of this. And then the other basketball player was Lamar Odom, and he was the one that was married to Chloe, and he was the crackhead. He ended up being a crackhead. So literally every man that's been like a part of a part of that clan, yeah, they ended up like messed up.
Yeah, I mean, they changed their identity. I mean, and I don't know what's going on with them, and I don't know be normal and that rich. Like, I just don't know if that's even.
Well, there is like some kind of curse is going on. Is all I can say. It's just some kind of curse. Because every man except for Chris Humphries, he escaped. He got out of there, dodged a bullet. Every man has like ended up messed up. Like I said, Kanye, Lamar Odom was a crackhead, became a crackhead. Bruce Jenner woke up and decided to be a woman. Like every single guy that's been involved with them has been messed up, turned out messed up. And I'll say, well, and I'm not gonna say allegedly because it's like documented fact. Like I just Googled Chris Humphries and it's like written. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not saying anything that's slander. I'm just saying something. I'm saying everything that's documented. And so, yes.
Yeah, I do think that Jenner probably has like PTSD, but like I think that become a woman like because of them, but like was probably what I very like suppressed and couldn't come out and couldn't talk about it. That's just how I feel.
But just the way it happened, though.
Got screwed over, though. That's.
Yeah. I mean,
it looks.
I mean, okay, here's another one. Even OJ. Okay, during the OJ trial. Okay, remember the OJ trial, he was on trial. Kris Jenner was sitting in the courtroom with Bruce Jenner at the time. She had been having an affair with OJ, but she's sitting in the courtroom with Bruce Jenner watching her side piece OJ on trial. So you see what I'm saying? It's like all these men got they come in contact with this family and for some reason turn out cockeyed and sideways.
So
except for Chris Humphries because he got out of there and dodged a bullet.
Like the accusation of them having an affair, but I got into that like a long time ago, and I was actually just talking to my 7th mate because I was telling her about like what we were going to talk about and stuff, and telling her, she was like, "What? No way!" But OJ even was, and then it was okay. But yeah, like I thought about that, and so we're talking about something else. But what do you think about OJ? Because like she was asking and I've only collected information, and I just do is collect information and always collect information. But
Well, how I feel about OJ is how I feel about these other colorist black men. I don't have any pity for them. And the only like I did watch the trial like everybody else. Now, from what I saw from the trial, yes, he's kind of guilty, but he's not like directly guilty. Well, to me, this is what I picked up. I didn't personally think he was directly guilty of the actual crime, but he knows who was guilty, who did it, and I thought it was his son that did it because he has a son that looks just like him. And there was a moment he was like from another marriage, like an earlier marriage. He looks just like him, and I think he was kind of off or something in the head, and I think something snapped in that young man. I'm allegedly, I'll say this because I'm not a psychiatrist or anything. This is just from my memory of watching and following the trial and what I picked up. They brought it up briefly in the trial about his son, and his son could have been the one that did it because when he saw Nicole riding around town in the car with another man, that the bartender guy, Ronald Goldman, I think his name was Ronald Goldman. I think something snapped because I don't know what was going on behind the scenes. Allegedly, in my opinion, I think maybe he did it, and OJ sat on the trial because like double jeopardy and how that works to take
don't know.
to distract from that and put all the attention on him. And then when he so happened to get acquitted, okay, he got there was like a karma for him because he ended up going to jail for trying to back memorabilia in Las Vegas. That happened like years later, but that I think was kind of karma because of the whole mess of the first trial. But as far as him being like directly involved, and this is just me, I'm just speaking for myself. Allegedly, I feel like actually, I think his son possibly did it, and he took the fall by going on trial to take the heat off of that. That's like another perspective because nobody remembers that because, like I said, as quickly as they brought that up in the trial, his lawyers are so good. His lawyers obviously were the Kardashians' dad. They took the
I know.
off of that.
Well,
It was brought up.
The one thing that I do is that all they would need would be reasonable for it to be just a blip. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like that makes it. And when you see something and you're like, that's fucky in the news, but no, like that's happened to me a lot. So I didn't.
But yeah, as quickly as they brought him up, they took the attention off of him.
OJ trial was happening. I was in the 3rd grade.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And my aunt, I'm 37. My aunt Larry would binge watch that, like before a thing, because it was so huge. It was on the news like all the time. It was
couldn't get away from it.
Yeah. And so I like vividly, but I don't remember the details. If that was a kid, so I don't remember like at all like that detail. Like I guess not of OJ having children. Like I didn't know until just now that he even had children. I'm hearing this, I'm like, well, that's a rabbit trail I'm probably going to go down later. Because
he had kids from earlier marriage, and then he had kids with Nicole. So I think he had like a boy and a girl with Nicole, and then he had like two old kids from earlier marriages. Yeah,
And which
and they were.
son was it, you say?
He looked just like him too. I'd have to look up his name, but he was an older son, older.
Like the
Uh,
oldest?
huh?
Like the oldest from the previous marriage?
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
So, and that's just the way I feel. But I didn't like OJ because he was again a colorist athlete, a colorist black athlete, and he made the statement. He says because he thought he was one of those, he was a pick me, and he thought he was one of those that was better than any other black man, and he's like, I am not a black man, I am OJ. That's one of his famous quotes. Okay, he said that right before that trial, and I have no tolerance for black men like that. I'm just gonna. I don't care what anybody says or how anybody feels about it. I have no tolerance for colorist black men and anti-black black men. No tolerance. Zero zip nada.
Yeah.
So no, I don't like OJ. And I don't like Kanye, and I don't like people that support him, especially these black colorist black men that support him. I don't care. I don't like them.
Yeah, well, I can say that not because of anything, but like I only knew of him because, and I knew like I just really into that type of music. Like the few songs that I even could claim that I knew were like on me, and so I don't even know other than his like he has done to the black community. I don't know anything else. I have been learning about.
Right. You're not missing anything. You're not missing anything. And the only time I listened to him was because when my kids and my nephews were over here when when that college dropout album came out, like I never spent a cent on anything he made. But they did. They were teenagers, so they were all, they're kids listening to the popular music. So that's the only reason why I know of his music, and I heard the music that I heard of him, and that was pretty much it. But like I wouldn't have heard any of it if it wasn't for the kids around playing it.
I can say I just remembered that I used to, when I was into bodybuilding, I used to lift weights to, it's like, it would pump me up, but.
Bodybuilding? Did you bodybuild? Were you bodybuilding, or do you like bodybuilders?
But I'm just now, like we just said, like there's a whole big story behind that. But like I was personal training, and I was pretty legit back then. But yeah, that was one of my workout songs. Not which those were like.
Well, that's cool. So how tall are you actually? Are you like 5 foot?
1.
5'1", and you're a bodybuilder?
I was, and I haven't even started, but I'm going to start because we just assembled our a legit squat rack. I'll show you like
Well,
later.
that's
like
pretty
next time we
cool.
talk. Yeah, like
That's kind of cool.
And then
my daughter was on the she was on the wrestling team.
I love women so badass. Yeah.
She got a certificate too. My oldest daughter was on the wrestling team.
Like I mean, like what for? As in, like what? Like was it high school, college?
Yeah,
or
high school. Yeah, it was high school. She was
That is
trying
so
to imitate her brother because Anthony was on the wrestling team, but she was trying to imitate him. And then, like, once she started it, it was her and just one other girl, and she started it, and then she was like, "I don't think I want to fit it." I said, "Well, one thing I want you to do," I said, "I won't tell you what to do." I said, "But once you start something like this, try to finish it if you can. I mean, if it really gets too much, then don't finish it, but try to finish it." She did. She stuck with it and stayed with it for like the whole. I was worried for her, but she did stick with it and finish.
That's
She
cool.
got her little ribbons and stuff, so that made me proud. Yeah.
Did she, you're awesome, or were they like, that's weird?
Huh?
You're awesome, or were they like, that's weird? Like,
No, I was like, it was cool, but I was still worried for her because I was like, I've seen the wrestling, them flipping each other, flipping them and throwing them, dropping them. But like, I was even worried for my son. I remember my late husband and I going to his matches, and I'd be sitting there on the bench, and when the other guy would be flipping him, I'd be wanting to get up off the bench and go running toward him and going like, "Are you okay?" And I remember my late husband, he would like stop short. You know how he stopped short? He put his arm out in front of me to keep me from getting up. He's like, "Nope, that's part of it." He stopped short. He put his arm out so I couldn't get up off the bench and go run down there. He's like, "No, you're going to embarrass him. Don't do that."
Right, I've been there.
I was going to run down there and ask him, "Are you?" Because they were flipping each other hard. I was, because when they hit those mats, it's like boom, and like it echoes all through the auditorium and stuff. But
he was like, "Mom, you're like, and you're always thinking you're doing something. Get a concussion. This is all my fault.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. You're gonna embarrass them."
Yeah, if you don't let them do it, you don't believe letting them get to their dreams. It's so
exactly. He's like, they're gonna get hurt. He's like whispering in my ear, like, "You're gonna embarrass it." He's like, "They're gonna get hurt. That's just a part of the process and stuff." I was like, "I know," but he's like, no. You can't go down there. I wanted to beat up the other boys. They were flipping him all over the but they were flipping each other, so it like evened out, but still. This is not
like you want to beat them up until your kid whoops that kid's ass. And
like, I don't know. It was just instinct, but yeah, Carrie was like, "Nah, don't do that." You can't do it. So back to our midterms and Mr. Idiot West. Well, you know what? And see, Candace and Kanye are tools being used, and they're tools to try to suppress the black vote, especially suppress the black vote, because Republicans have all but said that's why the gerrymandering and the suppression tactics of them they have their armed cult members at these drop-off boxes with guns and stuff like that. This is trying to intimidate voters and keep them from coming to vote and drop off their votes and things like that. I mean, if this was going on in another country, like the UN and all these other people, they would be like, we need to go in there and let these, help these people with their democratic process and all. You know how the United States always buttoning everybody's business. But I mean, I never imagined the USA, the United States to be going through something like this. Like, they're out there with guns and everything. And that's why these GOP politicians were so gung-ho about laxing gun laws, because they were planning for this.
From like Black Panther era? Or
no, they were planning for their the people that follow them, they're the terrorists in this country, the white supremacist terrorists. That's why they were so gung-ho about relaxing gun laws in this country, because they were planning to use these guys that they've riled up to terrorize people that are trying to vote.
So what I was thinking that you were saying back when, I mean, well, I don't totally accurate, but the Black Panthers ended up actually not doing the wrong thing, but then they totally all of a sudden it was not everybody has the right to bear arms to back when.
Right. So Reagan, he signed into law gun control when the Black Panthers were just trying to protect the community. Yeah. Then it was a problem. But now they're relaxing the guns of their domestic terrorist, supporters, and they're using them in their anger to terrorize the rest of us. I mean, and then, but the damage of, besides them, because that's just a given. But my thing is the damage that Kanye and Candace has caused, especially with the Black community was already having problems and, being splintered up. Them being used as a tool is a way to keep the community divided. And now we have to worry about, because of the way these businesses have reacted and the swift action that was taken to put him in his place and show him consequences, is causing a rift between the Black community and the Jewish community. Because although, like we said, what he said was wrong and he should have faced consequences, the fact that he did not face consequences while he was spewing anti-Black rhetoric, that him and Candace anti-Black rhetoric, they were completely fine with that. But as soon as he attacked the Jewish community, I mean, it's so in your face that you can't not say something about it. It's basically telling the Black community, we don't care about you, which we already knew they didn't care about the Black community. But the fact that he got the consequences, he's lost everything because of what he said about the Jewish community. Now that's causing a rift with the Black and Jewish community. Like, we already had issues, but now there's this huge rift.
And it just causes people to divide even more. When I started paying attention or understanding a little, there's been a lot of shit that's happened, but the arguments and the differences and learning about the different cultures and then it's everything is really add it all up together, and it just sucks because
it's heartbreaking, because we understand what they're doing, but we get caught up in our feelings and everything like that, and it's like, this is a tactic of them to keep us divided, because especially with midterms coming up, we need all hands on deck to keep us from falling into a fascist autocracy.
That's why it's not just I'm not. It's when I say divided, it's actually to this point with much shit has hit the fan, and it's we do need all
because I don't want to live in a fascist autocracy.
Yeah, people are talking about, some people don't even believe this is going on, or don't have disassociated so bad they're not even paying Like, and then other people, like to the other extreme, they've either left or planning on leaving now. Like, there's been so many people, and it's been crazy to see people's final straw.
Mm-hmm.
Every person's final straw, like there's always one more final straw with everything that we wake up and there's something else. And with the people that are paying attention are mainly the people who are the biggest people at risk, you know?
Right. Because my final straw was in 2015. I was trying to plan my exit then until Doofus and Chief messed up the pandemic, and then I had to go through my savings to pay bills. Because the savings that I had to use to pay bills, that was going to be, that was my ticket to get out of this country, or part of the ticket to get out of the country, because you still need more planning. But I the place that I wanted to move to, my savings, I was going to use that as a plane ticket for a round trip to go visit and look around, and then come back and like make plans that way, because you want to see where you want to go first and look around. So that's that. All of my savings I was going to use for that, buy a round trip ticket and fly over to Japan and then go visit, look around and then come back and then make further plans. Now, these corporations, because there's so many other people now that are trying to, unless they already have the means, unfortunately, people like me, they're making it where people can't make enough money to save. Corporations aren't paying that, and because they're doing that to keep people trapped in this country.
That's what it's seeming like too, the more that I paid. So in 2000,
that's what they're doing.
I thought you guys
they're doing that to keep people trapped in this country, because you can't make enough money to save, so you can make plans to get out of this country. So now everybody's trapped in this country, and they're forcing they're forcing us into a feudal society. Remember feudalism from like the medieval times? Okay, that's what these corporations are doing to us.
That's what it feels like too. It feels like all of a sudden, like we went from, well, I had a different life, I went from I was only hearing rumors on the side of my, my culture of Trump and totally everything. And I just was like, was indifferent. I was just kind of like, I'm not, they know so much. And that was that. So 2016, 17 maybe, when Copper and me is when I just even realized. So that you were ready to go, like a year or two later, I even realized what the fuck just got introduced to what is going on, and still fall, because I learn something new every day.
Yep, they're forcing people to stay. Like I said, people that have means, they'll be able to leave, but people like us, we're in a situation now where these corporations refuse to pay people enough money to live, let alone have them to make enough money to save.
Yeah, that's one thing that I thought earlier with the Kardashians was, oh my god, it was like nothing about that with the fires in 2020 and the Kardashians was it felt like that was the first break of it being really, really people to be like, fuck materialistic things.
Mm-hmm.
Makeup, let's, at least from my perspective of things. I am really appreciative about that. But like, people really didn't have a choice, and that's when it dwindle and start affecting people I knew. You know, like I knew it. I know nothing. A whole lot of people. Before that, but like, it's been, and people said it was, you know, like it's been rising on into like middle, upper middle class. Like, and we heard it, but nobody believed it was going to happen. And it is right now.
And it's the same thing with Roe v. Wade. Like all those, oh, they'll never do that. They'll never. Yes, it's happening, and yes, they are doing it. This is what's happening, and you see it. If people want to dismiss it, that's on them. If that's what they want to do. But like I said, I don't want to live. I'm not. My complexion is not going to fare. I'm not going to be able to blend in a fascist autocracy.
Yeah.
They're not going to stop and ask me what's your ancestry. They look at me and they see me as black. I identify as black. Yes, okay, but they're not going to ask me my ancestry. Oh, you're part 8. Nope, they don't care. They're just going to look at me as black. They're not going to care that I'm part Asian or part European, thanks to their ancestors. I look black, and I'm not going to blend in well under a fascist authoritarian regime.
Yeah. And it's so crazy. Totally would.
So if anybody out there likes our programming, feel free to donate to Belle and me and City Scene Productions, a media company, so we can expand our company since we're stuck here in the United States. We need a means of making a living. We need to keep a means of making a living while we're stuck here. If you like our programming, all donations and support is greatly appreciated. And I'm being dead serious. Yes, we're laughing, but we're being dead serious. Help contribute to our programming. Thank you very much.
But that was so funny, though. That was on that note.
I mean, don't hate the hustle. At least it's not, we're not like on street corners passing out fentanyl or anything. We're trying to make a legitimate living here, people. An honorable living. This is an honorable living. We're doing a public service as well, because the mainstream media refuses to talk about some of the things that we're talking about. So we're also providing a public service.
Yeah, we were talking about what we were going to talk about. Two little
because mainstream media, they're on some. Let me see. I'm gonna pull up what I was in a discussion with somebody last night about me, and let me see, because I've been tweeting a lot about Kanye here all day. But we were talking about how the media, again, which we have to continue to talk about this up until midterms, because they're not talking about it. They refuse to talk about it because they are under contract with their CEO owners who don't want a democracy. It's just very obvious they don't want a democracy. Oh, wait a minute. Let me play this here. This is insane. I'm going to play. Okay, this was between Ron DeSantis and Charlie Crist last night. They had a debate. So this was one clip. I actually saw this when I first woke up here. I'm going to share this real quick. Let's see. And then on the other side of this video, Bill, let me know what you think, because this is crazy. Okay. Let's see. Here we go.
Student look at their race, say, okay, you're white, you're an oppressor. So it actually, if you look around the country, they do have programs, unfortunately, well, they will take a student, look at their race, say, okay, you're white, you're an oppressor. If you're black, you're oppressed. And think about what that does to a 6 or 7-year-old kid. That's wrong. You're seeing that. You have people that are teaching, and actually his running mate has said this in the past, that teaching the United States was built on stolen land. That is inappropriate for our schools. It's not true. And I'm happy. It actually, if you look around the country.
Okay, see what we're talking about here? What we have to deal with here? He does not want real history told. Yes, this country was built on stolen land, as well as with free labor from the enslaved. That's the truth of this country, and he does not want that taught. It has to be taught.
Literally, it sounds culture appropriated because Black women have been saying it for years. I've been listening to it. Honest to God, if you Google anything, it checks out. Like, it straight checks out. Like, everything checks out. And I can say that is all of this, like, worst thing in life to get into your third day in white life. Let me say that first, because I know. But to realize, like, ignorant, it's not even that they're trying to, like, cut you down, letting you know you're ignorant. Like, I was ignorant, things that, like, you don't know. And it infuriates me. And then, like, the whole CRT thing, you know, I came in oblivious progress, you know, because that's, like, around when I was learning things. The more that I learned, the more mad I would get for, you know, because it makes I look like an idiot, and it was because I was uneducated. Like,
and that wasn't your fault, because they did it on purpose. They kept secret. They kept our history away from us as well.
Yeah, but just so like anybody else who is listening or hear about it and don't go Google it, that's when it does become your fault. Like, it's no responsibility as soon as we know. Like, the second that we know, we just need to start asking questions and pay for a coach.
Yep.
Like, boom, 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 to sum it all. Like, I wish I had done that in the beginning, because I had spent so many years. And then, like, I met people like Desiree, and I just, like, when I did work with them, and it's been a while since, I felt like the process was so expedited. And when you're just feeling like, even know your reality, and then it's like, and the world might be ending too. To try to learn, like, not just like straight through high school what it should have been. I just said we should have education. The whole place needs turned upside down. Very least, everybody should be completely educated, and all of the schools are the same, all of them, and not religious whatsoever.
I wanted to share this series of tweets here. It's not that many, but Ida Beat Bay Wells. I believe she is the one that wrote the 1813 project. that the one, talking about critical race theory. This is the author of that 1816 project, I believe is the name of it. Was she put these tweets this on the yesterday, and she said, "We've only had multiracial democracy in this country for fewer than 60 years, meaning we've only had democracy in the U.S. for fewer than 60 years. In places where black people outnumbered white, we had violent minority rule." That's where they're trying to take us back to again. If you don't understand that, are you reporting? She's addressing the media. We can keep pretending that economic anxiety is leading millions of Americans to be willing to subvert democracy, but that is a willful blindness and an abdication of our duty to report the truth. We can keep pretending that our institutions will hold, but that defies history. Fears about eroding democracy are not abstract. For the millions of Americans who will lose rights and suffer under a white Christian nationalist regime that does not believe in multiracial citizenry, should be sharing power of government. Basically, like I said, I'm not going to blend in well under a fascist autocracy. Because first off, I'll probably be one of the first ones to be, beheaded or whatever, because I'm not bowing down to anybody either. I'm not scared. I'm just mad. Like, you know what I'm saying? Scared of those people. It just makes me mad that minority of people are trying to rule over the majority and getting away with it right now. And it's making me mad. And the media is not helping by not talking about it and calling it out for what it is, just like she said. They refuse to call it out for what it is. And we know why they're doing that, because the owners of the news networks want to keep their tax breaks. It's all for a buck. They don't care that we're going to suffer. All for greed.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're not calling it out. There's an urgency to this. Like, I'm trying to not sound, hysterical or anything like this, but that's why I want us to keep talking about this until midterms, because there is an urgency. This may be our last election. If anybody cares that's listening out there, or, if you don't care and you're still listening, this may be our last legit election. Because if the Republicans win, this in my lifetime, and I'm in my early 50s, there'll never be another election.
And I mean, but it sounds like we probably won't even have a planet Earth in 100 years.
Right.
There's that.
But in the meantime, I don't want to live under fascism. I don't want to live under fascism.
Absolutely not. And the other thing is that Black and Indigenous, they have ideas. They've got good ideas. Anything that I've heard has been like I've learned stuff. Like, I'm growing seeds right now. Do that. Like, I've killed everything. I've got a little sprout, but it's like now, I know that sounds pathetic, but before I didn't care. People didn't care. And I think if they cared right now, and I think that if we don't, because I know from talking that a lot of white people either don't get it or they don't care. It's the majority of people that I know. And I've tried having conversations,
Mm-hmm.
and it just does not go anywhere. And so, like, having only 2 weeks left to vote, it's almost like you want to pull out every to be like, well, you know, it does benefit you too. Like, I guess.
Right. Right.
But, and that's only like to benefit, like, well, know how many people are going to have compassion, and that's what's so scary.
Right. Right. But you know,
like, I don't
that came
know if
out
I
during
have-
COVID.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's the scariest thing is like, mate, like, really hope that everything will work out, and I don't want to be right. But there's like letting your kid go play in the road, like, without you there. Like, most likely, I won't say most likely, but sometimes it doesn't work out. Okay, fine. You know, like the smallest fact that they might get hit by a car, like, not very moms or dads, or, you know, it's like, no, we're going to do this to protect you and to prevent that. And it's like, even if people are like, that sounds excessive, because I do understand that so many people are all of a sudden bombarded by real life. And it's like, it's not a joke. Like, there's paranoia fear. I'm not a Christian anymore. I remember one thing that my pastor, like, back when I was a kid, said, like, there is a fear that's wrong, and then they're right, and that is, you know, something like sticking a fork inside of, that is a healthy fear. And it's like, you don't play with fire, and I feel like is playing with fire, because no matter what you think, and it's so clear, and now I'm like, it should. Well, it's so much so that I don't even bring over my words, because it's so overwhelming. So, and
here's another example of, like, the schools of what the schools like this. I'm in Tennessee, so here's a video I'm going to play that shows what they're doing here, and then of course they're trying to implement this as well all over the country. But let me see. Did I get it? Okay,
I have
there it is.
absolutely got to go to the bathroom. Back. I am so sorry.
Okay, I'll wait till you get back, then I'll play the video so you can see it. Okay, go ahead.
I'm sorry, guys.
No, that's okay. Let me see here. Let's look at this. This is, that's food video here. Let's see. So, yep, the media is not doing us any favors here. But it is your right to vote. Yeah, that's the video I wanted to play here too. This one about voting. We're going to play this little video here about your right to vote no matter what, because you don't be intimidated. Let's see. I'll just flip the camera so we can play this. This is voting is your right as a citizen. So I'm going to flip the camera and play this for you. Okay. So just so you know, If an alleged poll watcher tries to impede you at the voting booth, tell him or her to kindly step out of the way, take their picture. I think I can mute this. Okay. If an alleged poll watcher tries to impede you at the voting booth, tell him or her to kindly step out of the way, take their picture with a cell phone, and call the FBI. The FBI Civil Rights Division staff will be available by phone to receive complaints related to ballot access. And then there's the number there, 202-307-2767, or toll free at 1-800-253-3931. U.S. Department of Justice Civil Rights Division voting section can be reached at 202-307-2767, or toll free at 1-800-253-3931. My audio sounds like it is echo. Too bad. If it is, you let me know in the comments, guys. So where is this on here? That's how they're voting. That's downtowns. We have 14 days. I believe it's like 14 days. Yep, we got 14 days. Okay, I'm going to pull this. This is in Tennessee, this video I'm getting ready to play. Let's see.
We cannot continue to deny the perspectives of minorities simply because we cannot relate and have not experienced these events ourselves. I'm 17 years old, and I shouldn't have to stand up here on a Tuesday night pleading for books in schools against adults that are acting like children. It starts with this book, but I ask you, what's next? Exactly what is wrong with this book? Is it the fact that it sheds light on people of color and the struggles that they have faced living in America? Is it the fact that the book mentions the Black Lives Matter movement, a movement that gives hope and spreads love to a minority within our country and is certainly not a known terrorist organization as the complaint filer refers to it? I ask you to reflect on how exactly a book about unity, kindness, acceptance, and personal growth is in any way bad or promoting division. In the end, it comes down to your decision. A decision that will ultimately pave the way for future book banning decisions. A decision that will decide if children will have the ability to view the many perspectives of the world, and a decision that will affect the future generations that grow up in Sumner County. This is not a decision to ever be taken lightly, and I beg of you to show that an argument founded on white supremacy that attacks a book empowering different cultures will not be listened to or accepted in this community or our schools. Thank you for your time.
I live in Sumner County, Tennessee. And all I have to say is I'm so glad I do not have school-age kids, because with all of these white supremacist parents that are raising a stink about these books, and now all of a sudden everything that deals with Black history is a problem. If my kids were school age right now, I would be suing the school. Plain and simple. I would be suing them for racially terrorizing my children as a Black parent.
Scanning the book, that was in the picture, that at first I thought that she was talking about CRT until I read the book. That's insane.
Yeah. Yep. I sure would. I would be suing them.
Like, people that I know don't know about. Like, they all fucking know about it. And then I'll just start talking, and I'll just start talking like it's no one knows about it. And they think I'm crazy. And then I start showing them the shit, and they're like, well, that's terrible. And I'm like, I know, right?
Well, you remember when they first started attacking the schools, like even before school started, they first started attacking the schools and the teachers in the schools and all that stuff. I was like, okay, so it's all right now. It's all white terrorists doing this. All white terrorist parents doing this. I was like, Black parents need to do the same thing. Sue these people. Use the system as it is right now. Get a lawyer that doesn't charge a retainer and sue these people. Counter sue these people for racial terror, because that's exactly what it is. It's nothing but. It's terrorists. It's terroristic. Their behavior, plain and simple. They're showing up with guns to a school and all that. I mean, really? We've never had this problem before.
But you know what, though? You know what's really sad? But it's not an excuse, but it's just part of the problem. Is that most people, they couldn't even give you an accurate definition of what a terrorist means, how to recognize it. They think.
Well, we'll pull it up. Let's see.
Okay.
Meaning.
It's just like a vocab word. We don't care about memorizing.
We're pulling it up for educational purposes. So here, when somebody refers back to our video, they'll be like, "Oh, they pulled it up on the thing." Here we go. Google.
Because unschooling, right?
Right. Google says.
I would love that.
Terrorist.
Biggest passion. What?
I'm reading the Google Oxford definition of terrorist. A person who uses unlawful violence and intimidation, especially against civilians in the pursuit of political aims. 4 commercial aircraft were hijacked by terrorists. The Capitol was attacked and hijacked by terrorists. Like that. Definition of terrorist. That's what the definition of terrorist is. For those in the back, I just read it to you. If you don't know how to read, I've read the definition.
And it's okay if you don't. If you're listening, let us know and we can get you there. That might be true. I hope that it's because of that, not because everybody. That's my hope.
That's right. And vote. That's right. Vote and vote. It doesn't matter. Vote. Let me see here. I think my.
And then I even see smart people saying, "Do not vote. That's bad." I don't know.
Vote. I mean, we're not telling you who to vote for. We're just telling you to vote. Yeah, no, we're not telling you who. Vote.
Some people are saying strike. They're saying strike, just so you know. And so this is where I'm at personally, and to do, just like you don't try to tell people what to do, but strongly fucking encourage. But like some people are.
You get a sticker. You get a sticker.
And then I just decided, you know what? I don't know what would have happened if I voted, so I'm just going to do it.
But besides that, besides getting a sticker, you know what else you get when you vote? Democracy. You will get a democracy. You won't be stuck under a fascist authoritarian regime. Woohoo!
I'm so cynical. I'm just hoping this all works out. But I do think that that's really that.
The what?
Not to manifest bad things.
Woo! Democracy!
Yeah.
Woo!
I hope so. I hope people show up.
Yes.
But you know what? I think that you can. And that's this. Right?
Because I mean, at least even if you feel things are messed up, if we at least have a democracy, there's a chance to change and fix it. If we have a fascist authoritarian regime, there'll be a chance of nothing because they will not they will not answer to anyone. Plain and simple.
And ultimately, like the bottom line, at least we won't be in a place executed again.
Yep. At least we'll have a chance to work on it.
Yeah, and I get that, and I get that you can't trust anybody. I get that, but people are straight up bragging about what about and what people said, like we were being dramatic about. You know, like it's even worse than what we were suspicious of or knew of.
It's bad.
So it's definitely the coming up. I don't know. I just have like feel like it would. So.
Your blue shirt looks cute. We have the blue thing going on. We're gonna have the blue thing all the way up to midterms.
I like this because it's kind of like a shirt that looks like inside out.
It's cute.
But then, like, I didn't realize how many people were gonna let me know my shirt's inside out. It's funny.
You know what? I wear mine inside out on purpose.
Yeah. Oh, in 6th grade, I was such a little rebel.
I also like wear mixed match shoes. Like I like Converse, so I wear mixed match color Converse shoes.
I
Yep.
love Chucks. That's cool.
I wear mixed match shoes.
When I was a bodybuilder, that's when I got into Chucks, was because like in Chucks for squats and deadlifts. The only, you know, I have this.
That's
one
all I like to wear. I'm holding my breath, and I'm hoping that Chuck Taylor doesn't say something stupid to make me have to boycott them, because then I'm just going to be running around barefoot. I really hope Chuck Taylor, if anybody from Chuck Taylor hears me, please talk to your CEOs and tell them not to be saying stupid stuff, so I won't be running around here barefoot.
Well, speak to that all the way back to Kanye, because we have 1,000 million tangents, but like that's the thing that I did. I'm always at this point I am biased. I will just say, and you cannot be it, and you can't miss like unethical people into knowing more things. But anyway, reading Adidas, and was like 100,000. I don't remember. It was like in the 100,000s. The petition, and then they were like, no, we're like not doing this anymore. And I'm like, dude, like, why are you bragging about this? You look like a piece of shit. And they did not do it of their hearts at all. And you know, I don't know.
Well, and Adidas historically they clothed the Nazi youth and the SS. So yeah,
I learned something new every fucking day.
Yeah,
So
they cloned the Nazis. Hitler was a Nazi branded
mhm,
like Adidas was a Nazi branded
okay.
company. Yeah. So they used to dress the Nazi youth.
What? My husband will not wear Adidas, but it's not because of that. But I'm like, you know what? Maybe I'll have to join. That is fucking crazy. Everything ends up being something, though. I
That's
swear
what I
to
was saying. I was like, please, whatever you do, Chuck Taylor, don't like be talking out of pocket about nothing. Please, because I'll literally be barefoot if they be talking out of pocket.
We're
Chuck
gonna
Taylor.
be such minimalists once we keep finding out we're gonna be. Well, you kind of. There were things that I've cut out. Brothers, do you have? Well, do you know what Dutch Brothers is?
But what is it? What is it?
It's a coffee shop.
What's the name of it?
Dutch Brothers.
Dutch Brothers.
This guy told me I suck at this shit. Royal Star. And like I don't know what number or whatever because like I lost track at 9. But that's how it goes. But like over a year ago, I think. And so he's in Oregon, which like Dutch Brothers are like in Washington, Oregon, Idaho, like, but it's like indigenous people and how that coffee shop got started. And let me tell you, I had 1 to 2 of them. It was my like it was my life. I loved that out, and it's like 1,000 things like that where you're like, you're not even gonna give up coffee for this. You know what I mean? Like, and that's how it is with just like a lot of things once you realize the hold. Anyway.
Look here. How did Adidas start? The company was founded by Adolf Adi Dassler sports shoes in his mother's scullery or laundry room in the Herz, Germany. After his return from World War I, in July 1924, his older brother Rudolph joined the business, which became Dassler Brothers Shoe Factory. Gebruder Dassler Schuhbrick. That's how they started. I was trying to find I'm gonna find the thing where it shows they dressed the Hitler Youth. Let me see. I'm gonna find it.
Yeah.
They dressed the Hitler Youth.
About that, I was like, that was crazy. And also, you told me today about, you sent me that article, right?
Ooh, wait, here, even more here. Let me see. Look at this. This is crazy. What was the link that I sent you? What was it talking about?
The Pope.
Oh yeah. He was a Nazi youth. Yeah, I sent that to you last night. Did you read it? Finally read it?
Yeah, I finally got to read it, and I
Yeah.
was like,
He's
how
a
is
Nazi
this shit
youth.
real?
Yep.
Yeah.
Look at this. So the Nazi origins of Adidas and Puma. The history behind the dark secret
Okay.
of the world's top sports brands. This Adolf Dassler, we were just talking about Adolf Dassler, the founder of Adidas, with his new invention, the screw-in studs, those spike shoes. Those are the first like Adidas track shoe
Like
things
cleats?
with the studs. The cleats,
Cleats?
yeah. Adolf Dassler, the founder of
So what
Adidas. Here you
sport
go.
did it say?
Huh?
So I've got two
Let's
questions.
see.
Was he I can't read that whatsoever.
Okay.
So was he and Adidas the first shoe ever to make cleats? And what kind of cleats?
I believe so. Let me see. Let me read through this further. It says Adidas and Puma are some of the most popular sports brands in the world. Okay, so we don't care about their market share and all that. They're basically greedy. Okay, Adidas and Puma both started as the brainchild of two brothers living in Weimar, Germany in the 20s. They worked together to make that shoe factory. Okay, that was in 1920. As a result, the factory would become a key supplier to clubs in Hitler Youth after the takeover of the Nazis. Their shoes were even used as the official sports shoes for the German teams during the 1936 Summer Olympics held in Berlin. So that's their factory there. They made their Nazi shoes there. The brothers would continue to work with the government, leading to both of them joining the Nazi Party with a variety of enthusiasm. So they were part of the Nazi Party. This is Adidas's found. Let's see. After the end of the war, the brothers' cooperation would be stifled by Nazification program and persecution of Nazi Party members. Rudolph was selected to be part of this group of high-level Nazis and thus was interrogated by the Americans at the end of the war, being held in an internment camp in Hammelburg until his release in 1996. After,
That's so shady. That is like Adidas had like no choice because they know they look like dicks.
Yeah.
They had no, like, it was all for money and to cover their own asses. Shows it even more. That's wild.
Yep. This is Adidas and Puma's founders. Yeah. Miracle of Bern. That was then I guess let's see what was the screw-in studs. Let's read about that. Even though both companies have a dark past, their innovations should not be discounted from history. That's what they always say. Adi Dassler revolutionized the sports shoe with his screw-in studs, which basically the cleats.
The screw-in stud, I've never heard of that before.
That's what they call it. So basically it's cleats. That's what it is. It's those cleats. Our history, man.
I love that if you have a question or if I have a question, you're like, well, there's no reason not to. Let's look it up.
Right. This show is for educational purposes only.
Yeah, I've learned a lot talking.
We're
so much. In my group, people think I'm smart, and then I get with Sharon, and I'm like, I need a nap. So much, actually, but it's good. It's fun, but it's true.
Well, we're going to close out on that note because we have more to talk about the rest of this week because, like I said, we are going to talk about midterms until midterms come up in 14 days. We have 14 today. From today, it's like 14 days out. So we're going to keep talking about midterms and what you guys could do. So if anybody has any questions in the leave a question on our podcast page. We have a voicemail on our podcast link, and you can leave a question, a comment, a statement, or leave one here because I think I left the chat open where you could leave a comment. Let me see. Hello. Let's test. Hello. Okay, so yep, you can leave a comment here. If you liked our programming, please let us know. And let me see, I'm going to pull these up so we can close out. And Bill, would you like to have a closing remark?
Just thank you guys. Thank you for talking. It's always fun talking to you. So it's crazy that but it's cool if you're into this, you know. Cool.
Uh-huh.
So thank you and hi. Whatever.
Bye, everybody. Don't close your camera yet. So we're gonna close out with these 3 videos here. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you during the week.
And thank you.
We'd like to hear from you. If you'd like to leave feedback, a comment, or ask a question, leave us a voicemail at 615-447-8290. Thank you. City Scene Productions / Media Company and Seen and Heard podcast are peer supported. All support is greatly appreciated, whether it is equipment or financial. Every little bit helps. Every contribution, however big or small, powers our programming, staff and creators, and sustains our future. Any amount you are able to give to help support our journey and progress will be greatly appreciated. If you would like more info, please go to our contact page to leave a message and one of the members of our team will get back to you as soon as possible.